Welcome to this episode of Avant-Garde Entrepreneur. I am so glad you're here today with me, my friend. So far on this season of the podcast, I've introduced you to some of my close friends who are experts in their respective fields, and they've offered advice, steps, tips, guidance, and wisdom for you, just for you as an avant-garde entrepreneur. Today, we're starting a social entrepreneur series where I'm going to introduce you to some of my very special social entrepreneur friends. Part of what makes them so special is they are founding members of the Avant-Garde Entrepreneur Academy. They are avant-garde entrepreneurs in every sense. We launched in August 2022, so we met 6 weeks in a row and have continued to meet each month since. These founding members have helped me to work out the kinks. They've given insightful feedback, and they are my why. So when I'm creating content, they are who I'm thinking of. The first very special social entrepreneur you get to meet today is Aisha Bello from Nigeria. Nigeria is full of powerhouse women who are tackling social and economic issues and lifting people to a better way of life. And if you're from Nigeria, or you know anything about Nigeria, or you're a Nigerian man, you know what I'm talking about. There are some amazing women in Nigeria. And Aisha is certainly high up in the ranks of these leaders and advocates. Aisha holds 2 master's degrees, not one, but 2. One in crime management and the other in criminal justice, as well as a Bachelor of Science in microbiology. She's the executive director of Voice of the Girl Child and Vulnerable People. It's an organization that advocates for the rights of women, girls, and other people who are considered to be vulnerable. In the organization, Aisha and her team focus on creating a safe and secure space where the rights of these special people can be respected and protected. And she's also co-founder of GuardUp app. This is a mobile app that bridges the gap for women and girls who are experiencing sexual-based gender violence or any other security threats. In addition to these very time and, shall I say, heart-intensive roles, Aisha is also the country director for the Global Goodwill Ambassador Association. She's the diplomatic ambassador of the Federation of Gender and Human Rights, and the monitoring and evaluating coordinator for the Federal Ministry of Human Affairs, Disaster Management, and Social Affairs. Oh, and did I mention she's also a wife and mother to 3 daughters? I have no idea how she does it. If I had one word to describe Aisha, it would be overcomer. Aisha is a problem solver. She's a fixer. She's had one obstacle after another come across her path, and she overcomes them with boldness, creativity, and perseverance. She's not only in the trenches, on the ground, in the room, so to speak, actively lifting her beneficiaries, these women and girls, to a new way of life. She's also solving their most challenging systemic issues. And she's up in government circles advocating for policy change at the highest levels. She's not waiting around, complaining or blaming. She's making it happen. And the women and children who are blessed to be her beneficiaries are, well, truly blessed. And their lives are changing. Aisha is someone I trust. I see her as a peer and a friend, and I'm honored that she is here today to share a bit of her story and wisdom with you. Aisha, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
So, Aisha, tell us a little bit about yourself, some of the color in your life. Where did you grow up? Where did you go to university? Maybe a little about your family.
Thank you so much, Tricia. Thank you. When you're talking about me, I was like, is this me or is another person? Sometimes, yeah, seriously, but, sometimes when you're in this kind of, situation or the kind of level that you are, actually, you don't see yourself. People see you for who you are. You are only after creating impact, trying to bring about solution to some of these challenges, just following what you love doing, your passion and all. But anyways, thank you so much for introducing me this in detail. And it's been a while, as I said, to like really go back and look at what I've achieved so far. Thank you so much for reminding me
You're
how far.
welcome.
Yeah.
You're so welcome.
So I'm Aisha Bello from Nigeria. I grew up in the northern part of Nigeria, Kaduna precisely, and grew up in a very, very large family, like a kind of extended family. Typical northern, northern lifestyle in Nigeria. Those days, our parents used to have like children, apart from your own biological children, you bring in your cousins, your relatives, extended family in general. So I grew up with my uncles, aunties, grandma, cousins, and all. And that is where my story started really, because I'm able to understand how people work, the dynamics of living with people, different perspective and ideology. And I learned something from my dad, and which has helped me a lot: humility and humanity. Because there's only people with such kind of um, focus or such kind of ideology able to help humanity in general, which I feel that nowadays we're gradually losing that, though there are some other challenges that have come to play. But nevertheless, he taught me to help people around me. No matter what it's going through, we still have people that need us. We need to help each other. And those days, there is this ideology that they come with. If I'm able to train another person's child, tomorrow, if I'm not around, somebody else can actually help with my own
Mm.
kids. So it's just a normal thing those days. And I'm glad I wasn't like, I'm the stubborn kid and all. But I'm glad that I went through all this process because it has really helped me a lot, even right now. And right now, as a mother, to train my own kids. So, and I went to school. My first degree, microbiology. I studied in University of Maiduguri,
Mm.
Borno State. That was the first time I'm leaving, my parents and all, and I started to go far. Because if you look at Kaduna to Maiduguri, coming from northwest going to the northeast, then there was no Boko Haram, there was no terrorism and all. So it was a very, very good place. And we usually call ourselves, like, if you're from University of Maiduguri, the short form is Unimid, and we say where you are made. It's not easy to be there. So I actually wanted to study medicine,
Mm.
but due to one reason or the other, I went to microbiology and Nigerian factor. You just see applying my medicine and you be given another course. But nevertheless, it was also a good pathway for me to move with what I want to do. I studied microbiology and graduated from the University of Maiduguri. After graduation, I love, you know, um, my normal impacting knowledge and all. So I volunteered for a lot of organizations, especially NGOs, at that stage of my life. So I do a lot of advocacy for young girls, especially secondary school girls, where
Mm.
we talk about sexual reproductive health, talked about HIV/AIDS, cancer, all those things, and also a little bit of sexual and gender-based violence. So I've been into that field for a very, very long time until when I finally decided to um, bring about Voice of the Girl, Child, and Brown People Foundation. So during the course of my experience in that field, I've come to understand. I went back to study master's too in microbiology at Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, but I had to stop along the line due to a lot of challenges, which is another
Mm.
story for another day. I just left that and kept moving with what I love doing. So, but again, something triggered me that I had to change path. And that's where you are seeing the crime and all that.
Mm.
Because I realized that if we really want to work around sexual and gender based violence and human rights and all these are crime to
Mhm.
humanity. We need to understand where this is coming from. We need to know what crime is all about, what are the causes, because we are trying to look at what are the solutions. We're trying to bring about solutions. So I had to change course and I started to go back to Kaduna State University to study postgraduate diploma in crime management. I want to understand this. I want to bring solution to issues of human rights violations, sexual and gender-based violence, and all. So from there, I felt it's a good path, and I proceeded to my master's in criminal justice to understand the laws, the policies. And talk about criminology, you're talking about not just looking at the law, which the lawyers do, but you're also looking at the causes, the reason why people commit crime and all. So that's the reason why I decided to just divert a little bit from microbiology, going back to social sciences. Thank you.
Aisha, I think that what you just shared, I'm sure that you're going to share a lot that's very powerful, but I think that what you just shared is so important for young people to hear. So you were on a path and you were just kind of following what you loved. And then you had to change course because you realized that it wasn't just this thing that was on the surface. You realized that there were some root systemic issues, and that is crime, because they are crimes. And I think that that's great, incredible wisdom for young people who are at university, because I think there is sometimes this fear of, well, I'm on this path, I've invested this time, and what happens if I change? Well, first of all, they might not even think about what you did, which, okay, what is the root issue here, which is crime? But then if they do realize that, then it can be tricky to take a chance. So I think that kind of what you have shared is that all the path that you've been on, you had some turns and you got some knowledge, and all of that has really led to where you are today. So you haven't strayed from what you really love, the core of what you love, which is helping young girls and women. You've just learned different ways to do it. And I think we can all rest and be open to the new things that come in our path, that it's not a change. It's just kind of tools that you're adding in your toolbox and insight and awareness that you get. It's huge. So you you realized that crime was a real issue, and you started digging into that, going to school for that. What was your spark to start Voice of the Girl, Child, and Vulnerable People, to actually go from helping people and being a part of others' organizations to actually starting your own? What was the thing that made you decide to do that?
Okay. While I was just around 16, 17, as I told you earlier, we have this tradition of staying with relatives. So then I just finished my secondary school, and I had opportunity to stay with one of my relatives who is a medical doctor. And you know how they are. They are always very busy, Her husband is also busy. So, but anyways, I stayed with them, with their kids. So there is this young girl who's also a cousin too, that was also staying in that same house. And then she's just little, like around 10, 11, 12, around that age. So I just came there for holiday, and there is this particular uncle. They usually call him uncle. So most times he stays in the house too as well. And he's a trusted person that, those family feel, okay, anytime since I'm busy, the wife is busy, anytime we're not around, the uncle can stay back, look after the kids and all. But I noticed something between the uncle and this young girl I'm talking about that is also staying in the house. And I felt he was actually, not felt, I knew he was abusing her sexually. He was molesting the young girl. But she couldn't say anything. I was also young. I didn't know what to do, because it's not easy for you to just wake up and say, no, this uncle, and this is somebody they trusted. So I was battling with it, like, I didn't know what to do. And that was how I left. I went to university, but I was just stuck with that. And I've come to realize after a period of time, a lot of young girls go through the same scenario. That was when I said, no, at this stage of my life, we have to be the voice. That's voice of the girl child. And that's where the name comes. We have to stand up and speak on their behalf. They are too little. Sometimes they are naive. Sometimes they are scared to talk. So, but I'm looking at it in two different perspectives. Now it's not all about the abuse. Yeah, we're speaking up for the girl child, letting people know there's abuse that is going on around in our houses and all that. But at the same time, we're trying to see how we can develop the girl child to build up. Typical northern Nigeria is a place that we are struggling with even girl child education. They don't believe in girl child education. They feel that the girls are, just train them, groom them up, get them ready for marriage. And that is all. And that is why even the issue of crime we're talking about, the issue of insecurity I'm talking about right now, it's really affecting the education system. This is something that we have been trying to fight, like the girl child education in northern Nigeria for a very long time. And I think we're trying to make headway. But with the insecurity coming, it's something else. So, but anyways, that is the reason why I said it's high time we become the voice. So it's like kind of coming out to be the voice of the girl child, developing them, and at the same time speaking up on their behalf.
Oh, that's fantastic, Aisha. It's wonderful that you took a tragedy and something that's very sadistic and you are doing something about it. And I love that. So when I met you, you've had Voice of the Girl Child for a few years. And when you and I met, it was because you were in the nonprofit space and you were considering moving to the social enterprise space. Can you talk a little bit about your decision to do that? What led you to make the shift from what is, very normal? Nonprofit is very acceptable. People get it. People understand it. Social enterprise is a little on the newer side. And while there are more and more social enterprises in Africa, it's not something that people necessarily understand globally, especially. So what was the thing that made you decide to take the leap, or I don't know if it was a leap or a gradual shift from nonprofit to social enterprise?
Well, ever since I founded my foundation, my organization has a nonprofit. I'm not always the kind of person that I'm always applying for grants, because I was just doing it. If you look at it, I was just doing it because I love it. I was doing what I can do with the little I have. I'm used to it, helping people around me and we move. One of the major challenges I see for nonprofit is that most times you have to start applying for grants. And this problem we're trying to solve in our society, I don't see them as problems that should wait the whole process of the grant application, going through the writing, the approval, it takes time. For me, I'm that kind of person. If I see a problem, I want to tackle that problem immediately. But whereby I have to wait to see that, okay, there's a problem, but I'll now tell the problem kind of, okay, hold on. I don't know if you understand, like, hold on, let me look for a grant to solve that problem. So for me, I don't see that as a sustainable way of, helping that situation. Sometimes if we're not careful, it's even escalates beyond. Maybe you saw the problem and you applied for grant based on that problem. So before maybe the grant will come to you, maybe the problem has even escalated beyond what you have said initially. So as I was saying, like, grants usually have a duration, just like projects. And what I notice is that because it has a duration and has a budget, sometimes this project would have started, but the project duration and even the grant has elapsed. So you have to cut it short. And I see it's like being in between. Because if you really want to solve a problem, you have to dig from the grassroots, pull it out, and build it up. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
Yes,
so most times when you start pulling, you've solved the problem halfway and the grant has elapsed. You're stuck there. And if you're not careful, the problem goes back.
And it might even get worse.
It might get worse. So, and that is the reason why, for me, I feel like depending solely on grant, like kind of nonprofit, because grant is the only source of revenue for nonprofit. Depending on that, it's not really sustainable in a kind of way, except if you have a kind of grant that will keep funding for a long duration, then that is fine. But for me, I felt like I want to see a problem and I want to be able to solve it without me asking people or fundraising or this. So that is why I felt social enterprise is the way to go. You're providing solution, and at the same time, you have something that will fund the problem you're able to identify.
What you said about grants is a huge issue for people. And a lot of times people want to know, even with social enterprise, about applying for grants. And it's so true. I've seen so many programs that were fantastic programs, and they just they just stop because the funding ran out or the time period ran out. And then you have people who were really starting to make progress, and then they just get lost or left. And most of the times they're worse off than they were before. And then people, entire communities lose faith, like what you talked about with your dad with humanity. People lose faith in humanity. So anyway, I won't talk about that much longer, but I understand what you're saying about grants. So how are things going with this social enterprise? I think that would be something interesting for people to understand some of the challenges that you deal with on a daily basis as you're making the shift or have made the shift to social enterprise.
Yeah, I'm still making the shift anyways.
Yeah.
I'm still learning every day because it's not easy. It comes with a lot of challenges. Mm-hmm. It's not easy. So I won't tell people like it's easy, just, it's not as easy as you think. But because of the passion you have for what you're doing, it makes it a bit easier. And it's a step-by-step process, gradual. And that is why I came to you, Trisha. If you can recall, like I just need a guide. I've been into the nonprofit, at least I know what I want. I'm able to have a niche. I'm able to, the basics. But I'm trying to, move to the other part of the social work I'm doing, and that's why I came to you and all. And I learned a lot from you, kind of, and from different people that we both found the course and all, because was it Daniel that was talking about some mugs and shirts or something like that?
What was it? David?
David,
yes.
Yeah, exactly. So I was able to get feedbacks from you, and I understood that it's not something that I need to rush into. I need to take my time. And you need to do a lot of research as a social enterprise. That's one thing I need. You need to do a lot of research, because you're trying to dive into, it's like a kind of business that you're diving into, but at the same time, you're trying to provide a solution. So you need to be careful. So for me, I'm still trying to make that change. I'm not there yet. So it's a gradual process, and I learn every day. Experiences. I make a lot of mistakes as well. I remember while I was trying to to develop my app, if you can recall, I shared with you a lot of challenges. I got to realize, this, and I've done this way, things are done that way, this. So, well, it's a learning phase for me. So I'm still learning. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's encouraging for all of us, because social enterprise is a learning process. Business in general is a learning process. And I think we make way more mistakes than we have successes, but thankfully, the successes usually override eventually. So, yeah, and it's definitely a process. How incredible is Aisha Bello? Don't you just love learning from her? She has so much to share, and we got into some deeper issues than I had envisioned. Should have known that with Aisha, but I didn't. It was such a wonderful surprise that she's so open to talking about truth, and truth that matters for all of us. So we're going to push pause on the interview with Aisha, and we'll pick back up in the next episode of Avant-Garde Entrepreneur.